MTC. Day 13, Number 1. Humans are champion long-distance runners. As soon as a person and a chimp start running, they both get hot. Chimps quickly overheat, humans do not, because they are much better at shedding body heat. According to one leading theory, ancestral humans lost their hair over successive generations because less hair meant cooler, more effective long-distance running. That ability let our ancestors outmaneuver and outrun prey. Try wearing a couple of extra jackets, or better yet, fur coats on a hot humid day and run a mile. 1. Now, take those jackets off and try it again. You'll see what a difference a lack of fur makes. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Day 13, Number 2. One of the main reasons that students may think they know the material, even when they don't, is that they mistake familiarity for understanding. Here is how it works: you read the chapter once, perhaps highlighting as you go. Then later, you read the chapter again, perhaps focusing on the highlighted material. As you read it over, the material is familiar because you remember it from before, and this familiarity might lead you to think, okay, I know that. The problem is that this feeling of familiarity is not necessarily equivalent to knowing the material and may be of no help when you have to come up with an answer on the exam. In fact, familiarity can often lead to errors on multiple choice exams because you might pick a choice that looks familiar, only to find later that it was something you had read, but it wasn't really the best answer to the question. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Day 13, Number 3. When we compare human and animal desire, we find many extraordinary differences. Animals tend to eat with their stomachs, and humans with their brains. When animals' stomachs are full, they stop eating, but humans are never sure when to stop. When they have eaten as much as their bellies can take, they still feel empty, they still feel an urge for further gratification. This is largely due to anxiety, to the knowledge that a constant supply of food is uncertain. Therefore, they eat as much as possible while they can. It is due, also, to the knowledge that, in an insecure world, pleasure is uncertain. Therefore, the immediate pleasure of eating must be exploited to the full, even though it does violence to the digestion. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Day 13, Number 4. Our brains are constantly solving problems. Every time we learn, or remember, or make sense of something, we solve a problem. Some psychologists have characterized all infant language learning as problem solving, extending to children such scientific procedures as learning by experiment, or hypothesis testing. Grown-ups rarely explain the meaning of new words to children, let alone how grammatical rules work. Instead, they use the words or the rules in conversation and leave it to children to figure out what is going on. In order to learn language, an infant must make sense of the contexts in which language occurs, problems must be solved. We have all been solving problems of this kind since childhood, usually without awareness of what we are doing. MTC. Good job. Let's start. MTC. Day 13, Number 5. Have you noticed that some coaches get the most out of their athletes while others don't? A poor coach will tell you what you did wrong and then tell you not to do it again. Don't drop the ball. What happens next? The images you see in your head are images of you dropping the ball. Naturally, your mind recreates what it just saw based on what it's been told. Not surprisingly, you walk on the court and drop the ball. What does the good coach do? He or she points out what could be improved, but will then tell you how you could or should perform. I know you'll catch the ball perfectly this time. Sure enough, the next image in your mind is you catching the ball and scoring a goal. Once again, your mind makes your last thoughts part of reality, but this time, that reality is positive, not negative. MTC. Good Job. Let's start. MTC. Day 13, Number 6. Positively or negatively, our parents and families are powerful influences on us. But even stronger, especially when we're young, are our friends. We often choose friends as a way of expanding our sense of identity beyond our families. As a result, the pressure to conform to the standards and expectations of friends and other social groups is likely to be intense. Judith Rich Harris, who is a developmental psychologist, argues that three main forces shape our development: personal temperament, our parents, and our peers. Judith Rich Harris. The influence of peers, she argues, is much stronger than that of parents. The world that children share with their peers, she says, is what shapes their behavior and modifies the characteristics they were born with, and hence determines the sort of people they will be when they grow up. Day 14. MTC. Good job.